Destiny's crossroads.
This one looks interesting. What's going on with this thumbnail? Hi, I'm Fate. Talk about the girlfriend stuff. Today we're looking at chapter 372 of the girlfriend. Interesting note as well that I wanted to share. Today also happens to be the release day of the Shiunji family anime, as well as Minnie's birthday. Minnie's birthday is on April 8th. This chapter released on April 8th, and the Shiunji family released on April 8th. And this chapter, the preview for it was Fate. Come on, the dude was mad cooking. There's no way they didn't like coordinate this somehow. No shot. Okay, so yeah, without further ado, let's get into this chapter. The thumbnail looks interesting. Don't know what to make of it. I'll talk about the Shiunji family a little bit later in the video. I have some things I want to share there that I'll talk about later, but for now, let's get into this chapter. Let's mosey. I think we put the plates here, each of ours. Kazuya. Oh, thank God. They're clarifying who's who. Yeah, definitely. Oh wait, hasn't Kazuya been here before? Look at how they look. They look like a pair, bro. They look like a pair. I love how they look with each other. They look so, like when neither of them is like freaking out or anything, they look like a great match. I love it. Ooh, the framing on that. You have Kazuya touching it, Chizuru not touching it, and then you have the thing framed like very perfectly in the middle. That's really cool. Kazuya and Chizuru talking, and then you turn to them, they're not talking. Then you see the thing itself, and then you pan to them one more time, and then Mr. Fish shows up, and both of their hearts are beating. Wow. I love the symbolism of contrast that Reiji's doing here. In Fortune Forest, I shall accompany you as a wizard. I wanted to make it sound as like magical as possible, but the fact that he's showing a wizard fantasy in relation to fate, which matches Kazuya's character. Another thing I want you guys to go to is, like, in my last video, I talk about how there was a fundamental shift in the dynamic where up until the last chapters or so, Chizuru was very much kind of in the lead. She's asking questions, she's doing stuff. Last chapter, suddenly Kazuya's in the lead. Like, you don't even notice it happening, it just did. Kazuya's asking the questions, Kazuya is leading, Kazuya's the one who turns back to Chizuru and says, come on, what are you doing over there? Well, he doesn't say that, but he just looks at her and smiles, like, what's going on? And that was highlighting to us that fundamental shift in the dynamic. You can even see that shift right here, kind of, where Chizuru's eyes are lifted, she has a single blush, whereas Kazuya's eyes are down and focused, and he has a double blush. He's more serious about this. Chizuru seems less serious, but it actually matters to her, as we saw in the last chapter. And here, they look identical, just as these two look identical. Yeah, Kibe, of all people. And this is the Kinoshita gravestone. What did I say about this fundamental shift to the Kazuya family, the Kinoshita family? Yeah, I even said last chapter, 5 connects to the Kinoshita family because Chizuru would be the 5th member, technically speaking. Or not technically, like officially, but we know what's gonna happen. But you get my point. And then the idea of prayer. I mean, fantasy does relate to the element of prayer to some degree. My heart starts racing whenever I think about this. What am I gonna do if we get the worst compatibility score possible? Calm down. Mizuhara is not the type to blindly follow fortune telling. Super cute. These bother people, but to me, they're so funny now. Because they just contrast the scene. Besides, this is her 6th time here. Oh, okay, so the last chapter I was confused. She said I've been here 5 times. I was wondering if this would be the 5th time or if she's been here 5 times prior. So this clarifies it. So she's been here, this is her 6th time. This is Kazuya's 2nd time. You know what I'm about to say, right? 6 plus 2 is 8. It's April 8th. And it's also Minnie's birthday, and it happens to be the Shiunji family came out. Why is he doing this to me? Besides, this is her 6th time here. This is only one of many, and she's experienced 95 points before. Oh yeah, someone pointed out in the comments that she's 5 points away from a perfect score. It's almost like she wants to put those 5 points back, and the last chapter had a whole theme of 5s. It's stupid of me to be the only one panicking. Please enter your name. First is my name. Oh, right. What is it? Is something wrong? Can I help? It's nothing. Don't worry. Oh, Mizuhara or Ichinose. So Chizuru Mizuhara and Chizuru Ichinose are spelled completely differently. So this is something you're just not going to see in the English. But like Chizuru Ichinose is, I believe, spelled with katakana. I think. I could be completely wrong. Like I saw it, but what I do know is Mizuhara spelled with kanji. So it looks completely different. It doesn't look the same at all. Like literally, if you see that and you see the other one, you can't tell they're the same at all. There's a fundamental difference between how they look. Chizuru essentially took the kanji of how her first name is supposed to be, and she put that, and then she wrote Mizuhara in kanji. So you actually can't tell. It's a really clever thing she did there. So I think that's what's going on here, and she was about to enter Mizuhara, but then she's like, no, I'm supposed to enter Ichinose or something like that. And I also said before, names are kind of important here because Kazuya still calls her Mizuhara, which is her rental persona, and everybody loves to blame Kazuya for this, but then you go to Chizuru, and Chizuru doesn't even say his goddamn name. So in that sense, shut up. But the fact that these names are inherently still a part of them too, right? So it's like, yes, you're technically using the wrong name, but that name is still a part of who you are. What Kazuya wants to call Chizuru is Chizuru, and what Chizuru wants to call Kazuya is Kazuya. Not Ichinose, not Kinoshita, okay? So that's something I also wanted to point out real quick. So the element of names being brought back when discussing fate is very core to these characters because names give people power. Like by saying someone's name, you essentially tell them I see you. It represents your feelings for them in that sense. I know it sounds silly because we use names all the time. It's not a huge deal, but it is important, right? It not only conveys familiarity, but an experience you've had with someone. The name means a lot more than just how it looks. I know I'm not describing it super well, but maybe I'll make a separate video describing it better or whatever. Huh? It sounds like she just noticed something. What was it? She definitely realized something. Or am I being too pushy? It should be okay to ask about it. Come on, what is it? Now you've got me curious. Oh, well, it's my first time using my real name. Out of all of the other ones, this is the one that counts. Also, I just realized something. It just clicked for me completely. Give me a second. Kazuya says she's been here 6 times and she's experienced at 95 points before. So the 2 numbers that are highlighted to us are 6 and 5. Do you remember when Kazuya, Mini, and Chizuru played the Ito game? Okay. And they draw numbers and the numbers highlight something important here. Kazuya draws a 56. Chizuru's been here 6 times. And the number she's missing is 5. And this is their 5th ride, mind you. And Kazuya asks the 5th question. Okay, now it gets even better. Chizuru draws 100. The number she wants for this game. The 5 that she's missing to make it 100. So Kazuya has the 2 numbers that Chizuru happens to be missing. And this chapter, by the way, 100 wants her to be completely honest. And here she is at this event saying has to use her real name for this thing for the first time because she never had to do that before. Because all of the 5 times before, she was faking it. This man is cooking. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like the name Mizuhara represents the element of faking it. So I do think it's fascinating how it's both a pet name that Kazuya uses, yet at the same time reflective of Chizuru's masks, if you will. It has a double meaning. Duality is a huge theme within this series that I think too many people kind of, choose and pick whenever they want it to happen, when in reality it constantly exists within the story, and we're just choosing not to see that. Like, people just choose to see, either Kazuya is just saying it as a pet name, it's not a big deal, or it's a mask and Kazuya needs to start using Ichinose, which no, he should start using Chizuru instead. And I think that kind of reflects the blindness of people, especially if you go to Reddit or Twitter, where people just don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Those who look with clouded eyes see nothing but shadows.
Where they'll just point these things out and completely miss the point that there's a reason these things are being shown, and there's 2 meanings to it. Two meanings are existing. That one, it's a mask. Yes, you're correct in that department. And yes, Kazuya is not using her real name. On the other hand, that name is a part of who she is. And so to deny its existence is to deny the character. But you also need to accept the real person, which is Chizuru, and Mizuhara is only a part of her. So Chizuru needs to accept to say Kazuya just as Kazuya needs to say Chizuru. It's It's kind of a bit of both. It reminds me of that chapter where Ruka wanted to say Kazuya's name without honorifics, and Kazuya didn't think it was a big deal, but to her, it did matter a lot. And after she said it, it actually did matter to him. And then afterwards, Ruka pulls that card in front of Chizuru, and then Chizuru says Kazuya's name without honorifics, and she like blushes and freaks out, and she's like, why the fuck did I react like that? But let's continue. What? Oh, your name. I see. Yeah. I get it. She always used Chizuru Mizuhara, her rental girlfriend name. She'd normally never have any reason to use her real name. That makes a lot of sense. This is basically our first time. Oh my god. Well, you think so? Her actual first name doing this. I need to calm down. Her using her real name is proof that this is a real personal date. Damn it. My heart is racing again. Oh, there it is. Marriage compatibility, love compatibility, friend compatibility. Here it is. At the fortune telling category. She's done the same question. The glands. The death glands. I love the glands. She turns to him. He looks away. That's so good. That's so good. Is she going to pick marriage? Or is she gonna pick love? Oh, whoa. She picked love. People kept saying she was gonna pick marriage. I kind of thought it would be love, but what the fuck is going on? What an expression. There's layers to this. The light flashing at her. The shadow behind her almost consuming the light. That's so cool. Let's go. Inside. Right. I love how she does that. I knew. Oh, she's leading again. And he looks like a kid. The dynamic shifted one more time. Interesting. I knew this was coming, but my heart's still beating out of my chest. Love is a magical spell that weakens an individual but strengthens mankind. How many times now with Mr. Fish? Last chapter, he talked over them 3 fucking times. That's 1, it's 2, that's 3. He's done this 3 times now. Wonder why Mr. Fish is so involved. Fortune Forest never stops being beautiful. I can say the same for you. Damn! Damn! Yo, if he'd said that, oh shit. But now what? She said she's using her real name for the first time. It's so pretty. It's like a magic forest. Maybe she's concerned about the results as well. Somewhat. That doesn't change the fact that Mizuhara isn't some fortune-telling fanatic. Be calm. Just be calm. Here it is. We put it here, right? The crystal? Yeah, actually. I remember these questions were really direct. During rehearsal as well. Have you ever cheated on your partner? Do you value your lover more than your friends? I just hope nothing weird happens. Oh, is this gonna be okay? I mean, her research is the only point of this. I can't back down. I've gotta commit. First, let's look into your past. Please answer the yes/no questions. The first question. Do you ever stammer when speaking? He does. Kazuya stammers so much when he speaks. Whoa, this is unexpected. How is that a thing of your past, though? That can still exist even now. Huh? Oh, I'm not sure. Stammer. I feel like I stammer all the time. Yes. I don't think Mizuhara does anything like that. Probably a no from her. What? Yes. Really? So she thinks about herself that way? I didn't know that. I'm surprised. Yeah, that was fast. Second question. Do you choose your clothes based on trends? Yes, for both of them. They both do it. Huh? Clothes. Trends. Yes or no? I'd like to follow the trends, but I don't think I'm doing it well. Yes. Yeah, Chizuru definitely does. No hesitation. She's a rental girlfriend and an actress. I mean, of course she said yes. Which do I choose? I feel so nervous having her pick first. I'll choose yes. It's not like I don't follow them at all. Do you often think about your past? Yes. Yes, he does. Both of them do. Third question, so fast. The third question is the one focused on the past. Both of them hold themselves back because of their past. Huh? My past? I mean, I think about it at times. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I could also say I don't think about it at all. Yes. I chose yes! This is so much information. A lava fall. I'm curious about her answer, but everything's going so fast. I'm panicking. For now, I'll just choose yes. I mean, she chose yes too. Do think about it. Are you unable to refuse a request from others? Oh my god. Kazuya is a mix. Kazuya sometimes doesn't, and he does. But wait, Chizuru also does. There's been times in the story where she's just given in to what people wanted, and then there's been times where she hasn't, and it's a part of herself that she really hates. This is a very poignant question at Chizuru, because she's kind of a people pleaser. She's a bit of a people pleaser, and she hates that part of herself. So yeah, that last question, very much a Kazuya question. This question is very much a Chizuru question. These are deconstructions of the characters. What the fuck? This depends on the situation. Isn't this kind of hard? I don't want her to hate me. Now that I think about it, Mizuru can see all my answers. If I say no, then she might think I'm some cold guy who's totally fine with not helping people. There's no point in acting like someone I'm not. I should just be myself. Oh, no, this is a no. I say no to Kibe all the time. I'll seem indecisive if I keep holding us up. She's not quite sure how to answer because technically she does do that all the time. She's usually so fast. She's thinking really hard about this. Sorry, I'm just going to be myself. She's thinking about the same thing. She said the exact same words. It's strange. She's always so perceptive. Her eyes closed. This is the thumbnail. Wow, that question really got to her. She's always so perceptive. It's like she can read my mind and know how I feel. I guess I have trouble refusing, so yes. Told you. I feel like I can share all my troubles and happiness with you, no matter how small they might be. I've always seen you as nothing other than a perfect match for me. Damn! I don't need this fortune to tell me that. I want to date her. I want to date Mizuhara. Do you believe in fate bringing people together? Instantly said yes. Oh, she said yes too. Whoa, the blushes got extra here. He's in shadow, she's in light. Did you notice how up in the fifth question, fucking again. The fifth question, it shifts. Up until this point, up until the fourth question, Chizuru's question, Chizuru's been leading. She was leading. Then the fourth question, there's a weird shift. Chizuru hesitates, as Kazuya has been hesitating. And they both do it together. Something similar happened within the ride so far. A similar pattern happened. Then, after Chizuru made him feel confident because she showed vulnerability, the moment he gets an answer, he answers before her. He's faster than her. He believes this. This question reflects the feelings he was just voicing earlier. So, when Kazuya does this, she now feels confident enough to say yes too. Because Chizuru is also a dreamer. Wait, it's clearing. He's hinting at the rain clearing. Wait. One last thing before we do any analysis. This is the first chapter in this entire arc where Reiji doesn't pan to Joypolis or the bridge being rained on. Instead, he shows the rain from a random person walking, and the person puts his hand out as if to say the rain is seemingly clearing. The only chapter that doesn't have rain as a motif that's overlooming and dangerous because they're literally in shadows, in darkness, in a mystical forest. So now we finished the past, we're going to start focusing on the present. So now I understand the meaning of the opening pages. The opening pages have them essentially be on equal footing. There's a sense of equality to this cover page. Kazi and Chizuru are talking. Neither is overtaking the other. We see Kazuya push his hand first, and guess how the chapter ends? The chapter ends with Kazuya doing it, putting his hand first, except it's the reverse. Kazuya's using his right hand, in the opening he's using his left hand. So the opening reflects the ending. This is called book ending. Book ending is when you begin with an idea and you end with that idea in some way, shape, or form. And then you have these two little card things here, and they're the same. The two cards are the exact same. Just as in the chapter, they give the same exact answers. Every single answer is exactly the same. They both said the exact same thing. So here, it's the same. They ended up with the same things. They matched perfectly. these two things match perfectly, literally mirroring Kazuya's words in the chapter. What does he say here? I've always seen you as nothing other than a perfect match for me. Just like their two cards literally match perfectly. What did I say when we started the chapter? Don't they look like a perfect pair? The things he wanted to evoke from us are conveyed to us visually. This is a thing that I'm not gonna get super deep into this rant. This is just a short rant. This is one thing that really upsets me when people give criticism to this manga. They completely separate visuals and dialogue, like these two things are not inherently connected. This is a visual medium. It's one and the same. You can't just say one doesn't exist and one does. And too many people often love to say Reiji is a great artist, but he's a terrible writer, when the art is part of the writing. If the art is great, so is the writing. And yes, there are cases where that's not true. Yes, I know there's a lot of stories that have amazing freaking art, but the writing is kind of abysmally mid. However, you have to realize that art from these stories in some way, shape, or form elevates the narrative. It's part of the story in its own right. If something is a weird guilty pleasure specifically designed to just be horny and fucking stupid, the art being good is a part of that narrative. It's the reason you can enjoy it. If it didn't look visually appealing, it would not be that interesting, right? So you're welcome to try and separate the two, but they are one and the same. This story is very much the same, except I would argue the writing and the visuals are on par with each other. They are equally as good as the other because they literally inform the other. You need to understand, if you understand one, you can understand the other. If you don't understand one, you don't understand the other. And so that fundamental separation misses the point. Okay. Try to keep it as concise as possible. Okay, I'm gonna go first and foremost, before we do any analysis, I'm gonna go to the Japanese and send the Japanese text to my friend who speaks a little bit of Japanese, so we can figure out what the opening says, what the final page says, and what the preview is. Guess what happens the very first thing that they do? Kazuya gets to the name question. Chizuru's the one who pauses. She's like, this is the first time I enter my real name, but she enters it, and so does Kazuya. Kazuya, they just have to, it's their real thing, right? But there is an element of choice. Then they bring the multi-choice questions, right? So it's like, which one do you want? Kazuya knows what he's gonna pick, but he turns to look at Chizuru's, and she turns to him. It's like, oh, you little shit, you looking? And she picks one, and then he picks his afterwards. What is the pattern? What is the pattern as we go in? It initially is this. What did I mention when we got to this point? I said, oh shit, Chizuru is leading all of a sudden again. As we continue through the chapter, that's literally what happens. Chizuru is leading, Kazuya is following, he's reacting to what she is saying. She is the active one, he is the reactive character. The first question Kazuya answers first, and then Chizuru answers. And he was wrong about the prediction. So it mirrors the first scene where he knew his answer. So the first question was already telling us Kazuya is going to start leading again. Then question 2, Chizuru is leading now. Question 3, she's leading again. Then they get to question 4. Suddenly there's a shift. Chizuru hesitates, she's thinking the same thing, and they both say it at the same time, right? Kazuya hadn't pressed it yet. He was going to press no, and she presses yes. Then it changes. And then Kazuya is suddenly leading again. So do you see how even the questions bookend themselves, where they start with Kazuya leading and they end with Kazuya leading? I love the extra emphasis on the blush here. It feels like he used the blush from the coloring. You know how when he colors the pictures, there's an extra blush on there? This seems like it's colored, and I love that subtlety of it. That's really cute. Like, you can really tell Kazuya really got to her here, especially considering he's hidden in shadows and Chizuru is shadows. Also, one last thing I wanted to add. One thing I find interesting about the questions is what the questions are evoking from the characters. So there's, again, the theme of duality is present here with these questions, where on one hand, you have, what the end result is of the questions, both as the final thing, where it's like when you get the little paper that tells you if you're compatible or whatever bullshit, but also the answer that you give, as well as what that answer means and what it makes you feel when asked that question, and how that makes you feel with the other person that's with you, right? So it's like you can see their answers, you can know what they're thinking, you can kind of connect to them essentially through these questions. It's not just about the fantastical element, the mystical element, it's also about that connection that these questions evoke from the other person when you just read it, when you interact with it. They're interacting with it together, the thing that is like fundamental to their whole dating thing, the whole relationship thing. Oh yeah, and one other last thing. This also informs the last chapter where the characters were feeling the same thing and it just didn't look like it because, they looked a certain way. Well, here it's the same exact thing. Chizuru turns to him, seemingly a little pissed, fuck you, where you looking? And then she does it anyway, just as Kazuya does it. And then they both start looking at each other's answers, right? Just as Kazuya was looking at her answers in the beginning, suddenly she's looking at his answer here. So they mirror each other. They feel the same thing. They're both worried and excited about this. And now Kazuya just feels more confident in it, Fortune Forest. And now, yeah, he's taking fate into his own hands, which I think is kind of interesting, don't you think? Like, he gets asked a question about fate and he takes fate into his literal hand. And he chooses yes, and he says, I decide fate for myself. Thematically, considering the idea of autonomy over yourself, the choices that you make, the struggle of autonomy for both of these characters, Kazuya literally getting asked a question about fate and saying, fuck you, I decide what fate is, even though I believe in fate, I think is a really cool thing, where it's like you make fate, essentially. You make it what it is, even if it does exist. Even if the future is written, it can be changed. Cool things like that. I fucking love this shit, man. It's in between. It's in between. That's always been the theme with this kind of arc, is like the answer is somewhere in the middle. That's why you have something like the theme of adulthood and childhood, but then you also have parenthood, which is right in the middle. It's literally the thing that connects the two. In that same way, you have shadow and light, and you have the characters coexisting between the two. I also have a theme of duality of shadow and light right here. Then you have the leader and the follower, where the two of them interchange between the two. Because that's kind of what dating is. You just no one is inherently the leader of the situation. You're both leading and following. That's the healthy relationship you're supposed to fucking have. You feel your truest self with the other person. Oh yeah, I think the funniest thing, now that I think about it, I think the funniest thing is that everybody was assuming we would get the results in this chapter. And Reiji's like, nah, fuck off. Nah, fuck off. You're not getting the answer this time. No, like, you're gonna get it later, dude. Like, you're not getting it right now. And it's just kind of funny that we all assumed we would get it now, but no, we're not. Yeah, I actually predicted this would be at least 2 more chapters. Like this chapter and another chapter after that one. I wonder if we would go to a 3rd chapter, but I'm not sure. Oh, it does remind me. Relevant/not relevant. Reiji released this art piece for the Shiunji family in season 4 of the Girlfriend anime. And it's amazing. I love how you can technically pair everyone up in some way, shape, or form. So you have Minnie and Minami, and these two just pair up. It makes sense. You have Kono and Sumi. I forgot Sumi's name for a second. You have Chizuru and Mami sitting next to each other. Then you have Banri and Aoka, and they pair up like that. But it's kind of cool how like Chizuru is seemingly connected with these 3 characters, but then you have Ruka and Siha. Like, it's kind of cool how they all pair off, and it's even more interesting considering Banri is the adult of the situation, but then she's with Mami, and her and Mami are like look completely different. She looks like a goddess towering over everyone, but then you have Mami, whose hand she has on, she's like, fuck you. I also think Chizuru is kind of a mix between Banri and Aoka, and then Siha and Ruka is an interesting pairing, because I think Ruka is paired with Siha. Ruka is like a mix of Siha and Aoka, while Chizuru is a mix of kind of all 3. She's a mix of Siha, Aoka, and Banri. And I think she even, who am I kidding? All the characters are really similar in different ways. But yeah, Chizuru, damn. Okay, bro. And then Minnie looks way too adult here. Like, Minami looks like, her usual self, but Minnie looks way too adult here. I love it. She looks way too adult. Oh my god, it didn't even click with me. The final page ends in silence, just as the first page begins in silence, becomes like the characters become silent, and then even the cover page is silent. Silence is key here. Where you visually see the words, you see the yes, but everything else is silent and it ends in that silence. How interesting. I got the impression that it was rather easy this time. That's what my friend Mew says. Yeah, doesn't it feel that way? It feels like the path is like getting easier. It's getting clearer, right? It's becoming easier to walk. The first page, let's go to the first page. These texts right here reads, "This is the fortune-telling forest. Attraction. Is it just a fun game? But I can't ignore my heart's pounding." Yeah, because you hear this is the ba-dump ba-dump. Oh my god. It says, I hope my best friend won't remain a virgin for the rest of his life. I guess it's not that fucked up, but it's so funny because he's praying to the Kinoshita grave. The Kinoshita gravestone. This is what he's fucking praying for. God damn. The best friend is pronounced Kazuchin, which is if you've watched the anime, that's exactly what Kibe calls Kazuya. It says Kazuchin.
Kazuchi. 悪いことは言わねえ。電話しとけ。
And it's the Kinoshita family grave. Oh my! Guess what's right here? It's a fucking hibiscus. Do you remember Kibe's story from when they were at the beach? Do you remember that? It talks about a fucking hibiscus. Kazuya takes care of and nurtures to become what it is, to become this beautiful flower that grows bigger than any other flower. Fucking there. Just as when we saw Chizuru's gravestone, the Ichinose gravestone, guess what we saw there? We saw a I don't remember. I just know it was the flower that represents motherly love, which matched the themes of the chapter at the time. The last one. So we're going to read this and then we're going to read the next time it is. The rain stops. The curtain is rising. This love is fate. I guess the rain is stopping. It just stopped. Next time, score. Score as the number of points Kazuya is always talking about. Yo! Oh, that's clever. They're not talking just about the score of the actual game. They're talking about the score of the research. Remember how Kazuya, every time he says, oh, my score is going to go down, my score is not going to be good enough? That's what this is referring to. This is a play on that. This is a fundamental play on that element of research and that element of a score in relation to that. This is a fundamental deconstruction of that idea. You know, this is kind of funny because that image I just shared earlier of on Reishi's Twitter, let me read you what it says since we're here right now, might as well, you know. Reishi says, this time a collaboration between her and a girlfriend and the children of the Shiunji family has been decided. There will be lots of developments to come in line with the broadcast schedule of the 2 anime series. Stay tuned. So there's going to be a lot of developments happening, and then suddenly this happens. I see Reishi. Okay, so we're gonna stop this portion here. I did actually record the Reddit portion like I usually do in my other videos. For those that are new, I read through the chapter, I analyze, and then I go through Reddit and like some of the other posts people make. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna separate these into 2 separate things because the video ends up being too long. Almost all the videos that I've uploaded for so far have been like at least an hour to almost an hour long. So this video will not have that. Now, I also did want to talk about a little bit of a few things that, you know, since it's future me here, I'm going to talk about a few things that I did not mention. So this chapter might actually inform the next chapter in a few different ways. For instance, like I was talking about how the questions are deconstructions of the characters, well, the questions are also deconstructions of the research itself, the very fundamental nature of the research itself. Because, for instance, asking Kazuya, do you stutter? Well, in Kazuya's eyes, remember how he would say his score would drop if he stuttered or if he looked weird or if he acted a certain way. And yet by the end of this, when Chizuru talks, he thinks to himself, you're a perfect match for me. I don't need a machine to tell me otherwise. And then he says something confidently, something that before he would think, oh, what if this would give me a bad score, just as he was saying before, worried how he would look in front of her, fundamentally people-pleasing in nature. So how does this inform the next chapter? Well, the next chapter, as we already figured out, was teased with the words score. Well, remember how I was just talking about how Kazuya would always worry that his score would drop? What if, just like how this chapter literally looks, where it starts in the beginning with the characters literally being identical, next chapter they get an identical score. So if you remember, you can actually get different scores. So for instance, if we pull up the score with Minnie and Kazuya, you'll notice that Kazuya got a 78 with Minnie as a friend and Minnie got a 90% with Kazuya as a lover. And the whole point of that was that you could get different scores. So what if here they get literally identical scores and maybe it's like 100, and that in itself challenges the very concept of them doing this because of outside factors. Usually what writers would do with these kinds of things is they'll give them a low score and they'll be like, I don't need that to tell me and I'll fight through it and all of that. But if you've noticed, if you've gone through the story, almost every single thing has been telling the characters they're perfect for each other. And so the machine naturally won't be any different. Heck, Kibe, the character who literally could not see his friend for shit, was able to see that Chizuru loved him just by looking at her face. Like her face literally gave it away. In that same sense, this machine naturally telling them they're perfect for each other and them choosing to be that for the other person rather than letting a machine or fate decide is in itself shaping fate to be what you want it to be. That's kind of what this story does, and interestingly, I do kind of slightly nod to it, but this is why Reiji talks specifically about fate when releasing this chapter, and at the same time as Shiunji Family, where it's a story about the negative aspect of fate, where for them, people are essentially choosing things for them. The characters are easily overtaken by their emotion. They're easily overtaken by outside factors. And there's a lot of layers to how Shiunji Family is kind of the reverse of Rent a Girlfriend in every single aspect, where main character is super handsome, main character is super rich. Here, main character is average, main character is not super rich. The characters are fundamentally reversed in nature. Anyways, the whole point here I'm trying to get at is they might get a perfect score, a perfect identical score as they themselves are identical. We see Kibe praying in the cover, and then Chizuru here, the way she closes her eyes and the way she lifts her hand, doesn't she kind of look like she's praying? Prayer is in line with mythical and mystical things, magical things, if you will. You would pray at a magical forest, a forest of fortune. You pray for good fortune. We literally see Kibe praying for his friend's fortune in the cover, and so naturally, us seeing Chizuru close her eyes and seemingly look like she herself is praying is actually relevant to that. If you remember, if we go back to the last chapter, right before Kazuya enters this place, he does the good old joke he made right before he entered Joypolis, where he says, "Thank you, God, Buddha, and Joypolis," right? And he is literally in a praying stance. Prayer is in line with these themes of fate, myth, and fortune. So all of that aligns perfectly with this. And so this actually conveys this element of, if you want fate or myth or things to happen to you, you got to be true to yourself, essentially taking charge of that. And look at how Kazuya becomes mystical after these things. And then the question of fate arises. And then almost as if in line, Kazuya, like Chizuru's words. Do you remember Chizuru's words? "I'll make the rain work for me." And how she saw Kazuya as someone who, when she's with, the rain clears. And what's the thing that literally happens right after Kazuya takes the shadows? She clears up as the rain itself clears up. She is in light while he is in shadow, allowing her to be in light. Essentially, Kazuya did the thing where he took fate into his own hands. He talked to fate and fate responded in kind. If you want things to happen, you can make them happen. You have control and autonomy over yourself, in contrast to the Shiunji family, which has no autonomy. And so this actually aligns perfectly with the whole element of Minnie acting as Chizuru, and how when she acted as Chizuru, suddenly she's way more compatible with Kazuya, even though she's literally just acting as Chizuru. So Kazuya took fate into his own hands as Chizuru took the rain into her own hands. Kazuya literally started clearing up the clouds through his power of light, if you will, by becoming a shadow. I believe that is everything I had to say for this chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe, hit like buttons, and the bell icon, keep up with the uploads. If you'd like to support me as a creator, please consider checking out my Patreon. You can get access to everything for $1, even though there's only 2 things on there at the moment. Sorry about that. I try to upload stuff a little early for people who are on there, so you might get access to some things early, such as like this video. Maybe you might get it a little early on there. I'm gonna try to cover the Shiunji family anime because, you know, I'm curious about it and I want to talk about it, so I might cover that if I just get the time to work on it. I do have some stuff I'm currently working on, so it's a little bit rough, but I will definitely try to talk about the Shiunji anime because I just want to. I like the series and I like Reiji's work on that one as well. And yeah, that's everything I've had to say. I've been Fate, and remember, fellas, it's Mosey. I'll see you guys next time.